And that's what's cool, I'd say, about Clotein, like how we're building Clotein is the entrepreneurial side of it, this alternative world where like we can move money around the markets and we don't have to be stuck to this traditional sense of the way in which we would see Wall Street guys look at certain investments. We can look at them and say, well, time out. Like let's pull the structure from what we have seen work in down markets. Let's deploy our money and build structures around that. And that way, we're de-risking investments in a way that can make and opening it up to normal folks, right?
Hey, Joey. Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Dan. I'm hot. How are you?
Oh, yeah, it's hot there, right?
Well, that's not the way I
Well,
was talking. I didn't mean it that
yes,
way.
of course.
Yes, I think we're supposed to hit 113 in New York City today.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot hotter than here. When we left there yesterday from New York, it was just getting a little muggy, and we were like, boy, it's good to be going back to Florida in July. I wouldn't have thought that would have been the case, but it
Oh,
is.
good
So
times.
anyway, that's good. Well, let's see. Want to look at algorithm
Yeah.
stuff and see kind of what it looks like? Because mine's changed. I know that.
What to expect today, to be honest. Let's see here.
Has this morning been already?
That was a cooking thing. Oh, I've got a dog in the snow. So apparently I'm
Yep.
wanting colder days.
Yep.
Summer dresses and pants. So apparently I'm hating the heat.
It's all heat
Oh,
related.
and have you heard about this Russian couple that climbed the Empire State
Yes.
Building?
Yes.
And then he proposed, which don't get me
Yeah.
wrong, I don't want to get married. I'm not into that, but I'm like, okay, so he has set the bar so flippin' high. I feel
True.
badly for all of the straight men thinking about proposing this year.
And then, of course, the memes that now is created too, because now they have all the pictures of them with the flag. And so
Yes.
people are changing out what the flag says and like all kinds of
Oh, I
funny
haven't seen
things.
that yet.
whenever- Yeah. There's
Interesting.
a whole meme thing too. Good for them though, like that they figured out a way to,
How did they
I don't know.
evade all of the security?
Yeah,
Boy.
right? It's weird. Apparently that's their whole shtick, I guess. Like that's what they do. Like they've
Yes.
got videos.
There's a
Yeah.
Netflix documentary about them, I believe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, there you go. Congratulations to those two. They climbed the Empire State Building. So let's see. I've got my Instagram open here. I've got an AI picture of Bill Clinton, Jeffrey Epstein, and Trump taping Stephen Hawking to the back of a horse to go for a ride. So I don't know
What
where
have
that
you been looking at?
where that came from. I've got Judy's Family Cafe. Oh, see, here's a meme. Just speaking of, see, Judy's right on the memes, right?
Oh,
There she
gotcha.
is.
Oh, I haven't seen any of these memes yet.
Good for her.
Yeah.
I'm Judy. Come for breakfast. Her flag says. And then I got stand up, more stand up AI news.
Dan,
Yeah,
have you ever
lots of
done stand up?
no, just the improv. I don't have the memory for stand up and like the discipline to like I think memorize it and like work it in that way.
But so much of it is not necessarily about memorization nowadays. It's more a facility with audience.
Yeah, so when Kelly and I did, I believe it was the Mary Kay Letourneau musical back in Chicago. Or maybe it was I think it was that one. Or it might have been the Tanya Harding, whatever
Nancy
her name
Kerrigan.
is, Nancy Kerrigan musical. In one of those two, I can't remember which one. I played the attorney, like the defense attorney. And there was a segment in that where it was just me and a whiteboard. And then the whiteboard was like that whole segment was completely just me, basically giving my best defense of the situation. And it was different every night. I just kind of started talking and making it up. It wasn't like a fixed thing.
And you
And
are
then the
good at
audience,
that. You are really good at
I'm
that.
good at that. Yes. I would rather make it up every single night than try to remember it. And I'm sure Kelly will have comments on it.
Fascinating.
as well.
I'm exactly
But
the
yeah.
opposite.
Interesting. Yeah. No, I actually get more nervous, very nervous, if I have to remember to say specific things. If I'm
Wow.
just talking off the top of my head, and maybe if I know the points I'm trying to make, no problem. But if I have to say the exact words, then I lose it immediately.
Oh, I
So,
love exact words. And then I like
yeah.
maneuvering around, like making it new each night, but with the exact
Yeah.
same words.
No, exact words, my brain just goes blank immediately.
Fantastic. God, that's so
So
interesting.
anyway, Well, speaking of Kelly, maybe we should bring Kelly in here for her news.
Kelly's here. Grab your shades. It's a wild, weird Florida day.
Hello,
Hello,
everyone.
dear friends.
Yes, Dan, it was Mary Kay Letourneau, and you had rough talking points that you had to end at, but you were able to kind of go along. Dan's really good. Dan's not so good at
Yeah.
memorizing lines, but Dan's very good at kind of general sort of thing. But
Fascinating.
yes,
Yeah, and it was always a showstopper. The audience really liked
yeah,
it.
the
They were
audience
really,
loved it. It was always
yeah,
you were David Gerke, I think, if I remember the name correctly. That
that's
was the
right.
name
Right.
of the actual lawyer who defended Mary Kay Letourneau at one point. And he apparently bungled, I think that's what it was. I think and he bungled the defense, if I remember correctly. So
Yeah,
that was where the inspiration for that scene. It was based
Fantastic.
in reality, folks. So all right. Hello. Okay, hello.
Hey, dear friend.
All right, so let's see. I'm going to start with different news things. I'm going to start because we just came from New York. I'm going to start, of course, my app redid it, which is annoying. Let me see if I can find it. I am going to start with.
Oh, is it location based? Does your app show location?
No, it's not. You know what? It's because I no longer, for whatever reason, gosh darn it, where did it go? For whatever reason, it doesn't let me save anymore. I don't have my ability to save. And where did it go? Ah, shucks, you guys. Oh, here it is. Okay. This is the thing. We're coming from New York, coming back from New York to Palm Beach, West Palm Beach. So I'm going to start with a New York thing. This is not the people climbing up, which is interesting, actually. I'm just a side point. Joey, Dan, and I went on a cat historical walking tour, and there was another guy who had the big. Remember, they had done the "Will You Marry Me" setup, like an elaborate Brooklyn Heights
That's
proposal.
right.
right.
So
we had
apparently,
to maneuver around. Yeah.
and you know why it is? It's because Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are to celebrate their wedding Friday at Madison Square Garden. This is the start when they're going to Taylor. So this made the local news. Apparently, it's big enough news that it made the local news. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce will celebrate their wedding at Madison Square Garden on Friday night, according to law enforcement official briefed on security plans. The festivities will kick off with a smaller rehearsal dinner planned for Thursday night. Are you invited to that, Joe? You going to that?
I declined. I
Too much?
couldn't afford the gift.
Gotcha. Speculation about the superstar singer and football player's nuptials has built to a frenzy in recent days following weeks of unconfirmed reports that it would take place over July 4th weekend at one of New York's iconic landmarks. This week, crews have been unloading equipment from trucks outside Madison Square Garden. A large carpet was briefly unveiled outside one entrance and then promptly removed. I guess it's
So they're getting married at Madison Square Garden?
at Madison Square Gardens. Garden, singular. I guess it's not plural.
All right.
Yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I'm not quite sure what that is, but apparently that's the
They
thing.
have
it
that many
sounds-
people they want to witness.
Yeah,
You know, it occurred to me, I was wondering if they were doing it because you know how sometimes people will get married, celebrities will get married on like an outdoor ceremony on the Maine coast or whatever, and then paparazzi will take helicopters,
Right.
you know, and go over. So it occurred to me maybe they're trying to do it in a very contained spot where nobody can, there's no flyovers or something. I don't
point.
know what I mean. I don't
But
quite
Madison
understand
Square
that.
Garden? I mean, it's just sort of a charmless, giant.
I'm just gonna say it's so ugly. It's like it sounds cool, but it's really just a big ugly building.
I mean, maybe you bring in a whole bunch of stuff. You bring in the
I'm
tent.
sure they'll make it
bring
look
in the-
beautiful. Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, I'm
That's
sure they're
true.
spending a mint on it, but I mean, of course, you rent Madison Square Garden for a weekend or whatever. So
They're gonna do a show to pay for it so that it's free. That's maybe what it is. Maybe they're gonna make money on the deal.
I mean, maybe that's an interesting thought. I don't know.
That's what I would do if I had that kind of pull. I'd do a show and pay for my wedding.
There you go. Okay, well, so that was number one. That was an interesting one. Another one is Boca Raton psychiatrist's license is suspended after patients allege he asked them to undress on Zoom. Boca
Psychiatrist.
Raton psychiatrist is facing serious allegations after at least 2 patients say they were asked to undress during mental health appointments conducted during telehealth sessions.
How does one
According
even
to state
justify
documents,
that?
well, here, a 29-year-old patient identified as SA began treatment with Sorial, that's the doctor's name, in 2020 for depression, anxiety, and OCD. During a Zoom appointment, the woman discussed body image concerns when Sorial allegedly asked to assess her body, eventually requesting she strip down to a bra and underwear. And then in another visit, the patient was allegedly asked to take off her top and show him her breasts. I mean, patient SA asked Dr. Sorial if he was asking her to take her top off and show him her naked breasts. And Dr. Sorial said, Yes, if that's what you're comfortable with.
Why not?
My God.
I mean, I guess all bets were off. It was during COVID. Oh, but then later, around the summer of 2025, another patient, a 33-year-old woman identified as CB, saw Sorial for ADHD, depression, and bipolar disorder. State documents allege similar requests over Zoom escalating to providing photos of the patient in a bra, underwear, or bikini. I mean,
What was the doctor's name? He's
Andrew
like,
Sorial, so Sorial. If you're interested, if you guys are looking for a Zoom doctor, apparently he probably has a lot of space on his
Fascinating.
But
I mean,
yeah, so there you go. I mean, there you go. So that was an interesting thing. So he's apparently under investigation. No criminal charges as of the
yeah,
writing of this article, but
innocent until proven guilty. We need to say that. Innocent until proven guilty. These are just allegations.
these are just allegations. We don't know.
Just
Well,
allegations,
Yeah,
but they're awesome
but we
allegations.
know, we're pretty sure what happened there, aren't we?
Yeah,
I mean,
awesome allegations.
yeah, there's a certain, I don't know. I mean, there is a certain amount of, I understand like the concept of abuse of power for sure, but there's also a little bit of like, it's a little bit like your dentist being like, hey,
You know what would make this easier?
you know what would make
If
this
you-
easier?
if you
Didn't
took the
have any
top off.
clothes in the way.
The shirt is constraining around the mouth for the dentist work.
Yeah, we're gonna take X-rays, and X-rays work better if you don't have clothes on, because they don't have to look
Wow.
through the clothes as well. So I don't know. I'm kind of like who knows? I've been taken for scams before myself, so
Yeah.
That's true.
I have.
Of the
One
three of
time I
us on
gave
this
my
call,
credit card information twice in a quick succession to one of those text messages. Your post office, blah, 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 blah. I had sent my passport back to be like re-upped. And there must have been like, it was either a coincidence or some sort of geo-tracking as soon as I was doing it in a rush because, post office, da, da, da. And then as soon as I left the post office, I received a text message that there was something wrong with my package and they just needed a credit card on file in case they had to send it back. And I did it.
Well, but
And
the
then I
look,
didn't-
I give you a pass on that because the timing is so good.
The timing is what messed me up. But
yeah.
and then it happened. And then the next day it was the same thing. And I'm like, gosh darn it, something. And so then I was like, I better give him a different credit card in case that other one.
No, Kelly. Oh no.
Yeah. And then as soon as I did that second one, I texted Dan and I was like, I think I totally was scammed.
No. So you had to close out. You had to.
Yeah, one of
close
them
out
was
those
American
accounts.
Express and they flagged it, and the other one was my Visa, and I had to wait to get the Visa. I mean, it was fine. They did, but-
Yeah.
All right.
God.
So yes, so scams happen to the best of us, myself included. The final one that I wanted to, the final thing that we'll do today, I brought it up online. Joey, I don't know if you know this, but the next time you fly into West Palm Beach, it's not going to be Palm Beach International. It's going to be the Donald J. Trump International Airport.
As of yesterday,
Well,
That's
that's
not the airport I will be flying into. I will not
And
be flying into that airport.
announced it. They announced it over the thing. Yesterday was
yep.
the first time.
Good.
As
we heard it.
technically, it's July 9th is when the official name is set to take
Oh, is that what it is?
change, but it's swapped. Is a transition funded by the state of Florida at the cost of $2.75 million just to rename an airport. Something that probably most people aren't going to call it anyway. Most people are going to call it Palm Beach International. I don't know. I mean, I don't know. And then the thing I really object to, whatever, to the credit of the airport, their official statement said something to the effect of, while we recognize that the required name change may be received in different ways by our passengers, we're grateful for your continued support through this transition period. So
They're trying so hard. They're trying so hard.
To PBI. What I don't like is it's like I kind of feel like, okay, you name it whatever, it's stupid, it's a waste of money, whatever, name it whatever. But I actually object to changing the 3-letter designation. It's no longer going to be PBI. As of August 18th, it's going to be DJT. And I'm like, you know what? Call it what you want, but just leave it PBI. Leave it. Why do we have to change the stupid 3-letter designation? I mean, O'Hare is ORD, right?
Right.
So just leave it OR, just leave it PBI. It's like, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not a big fan of that. I think that's kind of dumb. It's like, now I have to remember 3 other letters when I go into Expedia to get my plane ticket.
No.
So,
Which, by the way, you rarely buy your own plane tickets and you don't use Expedia. So that was 2 lies, right? It's quick
Google
succession.
Whatever, Google Flights. I
Oh,
know Dan
boy.
usually does it for me. I usually am like, figure that out. There you go.
Exactly.
Thanks for the news,
the big news.
Kels.
There you go. There's the big news.
Awesome. And on to our next segment, when we'll all take our tops off, and then it'll be part of the podcast.
All right, get ready.
There we go. Yeah. All right. Thanks,
I think
Kelly.
that's actually, guys, if you really want to differentiate yourselves, I'm just saying from a
I
podcast.
know it would put us ahead of the pack in some way.
Yeah, no top Thursday.
No top Thursdays. Yeah.
So I'm just saying, topless Thursdays. There you go. That sounds better. Topless Tuesdays. Really, you got to
Topless
start
Tuesdays.
doing that.
Yeah.
Because Taco Tuesday, Topless Tuesday.
I love you, sweet friend.
All right. See you later.
I love her so much.
Got to get the hook.
Yeah.
We should give her a hook up there. She could hook herself out.
Dan, I'm so excited to talk to Michael Bauman again today.
Yes.
What a delightful
let's get
man.
Michael out here.
Oh,
Hey.
there,
so-
yes,
There it is.
yes. We got some shoulder action. That was good.
Oh, how's it going, guys?
How are you doing, Michael?
I'm doing great. Doing great. Best I
Awesome,
can with
awesome.
what I got.
Dan, tell me a little bit about you. You two were having some conversation recently.
Yeah,
Some.
so Michael and
Some.
I have been we've got a few conversations about a lot of things. Michael and I have been talking about some various investments that we're looking at as part of Clotine. And we got to talking and we're thinking about like, what are the criteria? Like, what are we actually, I mean, obviously we have a criteria and obviously like we, have a process. But like when you start to refine it, like what are the things that we look at and how are other people, like what do regular people who don't do this all the time want to know, right? So that was kind of the conversation.
Or how do we
So
keep
we're-
ourselves out of the trap of entrepreneurship where we see nice, shiny things and we say, oh, that'll be easy. Let's do that.
Mm.
Exactly.
How do you
Exactly.
do that? How do you between the
Well,
two?
as me and Dan have come to figure out, one is we do this not because it's easy, but because we first thought it would be easy. So we haven't figured out how to get out of that trap yet, obviously.
Yeah.
But we refine as we go. We're pretty good at being creative structurally. So, we see things and we're like, I think this could work. I think this could be something worth pursuing. And, I typically come at it from like the visionary, like, oh, well, we could tie this to that and we can do this thing over here. And if we pull those two together, then that makes this into something that, maybe differentiates us from a lot of other folks. And then Dan comes from like, I don't know how he does this, but maybe we'll see today, where we start talking. He's like, oh, well, yeah, if you double this and you take that away from that, that's like 12.5%. And then we pull this number over here. And I'm like, okay, you're just showing off now.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Dan has a
thing
pretty
that
good gift with numbers.
Yeah.
The thing that I've learned from with the difference between like entrepreneurship and investing mindset, because there is a slight difference, although maybe there shouldn't be. The difference is that, like you said, Michael, the entrepreneur can like look at something and like change all these variables to like try to make something like work. And like investor mindset is really just like the numbers. And I think you need like a healthy combination of those two to really, to your point, stand out or be different or add new opportunities to the world that don't exist from an investment perspective. Because investment people and finance people have a tendency to be overly numbers like dependent. And it's like to the point where that something that's like obviously possible doesn't appear possible because they're only like looking at the same numbers with the same math over and over again. Now, on the flip side of that, the problem the entrepreneur has, like the operating mindset person, is that they don't realize that the finance numbers perspective at the end of the day is kind of what we're all working towards. We're looking at deploying dollars and we're looking at getting some sort of return. And if we're not getting a return that is higher than something else we could be doing, opportunity cost, then we should probably be doing that versus the thing that's like a lot of running around and complexity and da-da-da. So you've got to kind of combine the two mindsets, I think. And that's why it's something that Michael and I think, have fun with. I'll say it that way. Have fun with trying to figure out how to mesh up our entrepreneurial, inclinations with a more like, okay, cool, let's break down the finance numbers and go from there.
How much does joy of the project enter the equation? If
I
something
mean,
might not be as good a return, but you think you might have fun doing it, would that be equally or more attractive than doing something that's like, we'd probably get a pretty big return off that?
it's always the thing that's going to be more fun. It's going to, we're terrible for being like rabbit holing. I mean, one of the first ventures me and Dan got into was a mushroom farm,
I remember
right?
this. Tell me more about
So
this.
that was it. It came through this like farm purchase we were trying to put together. At first, we were like, the mushroom farm doesn't make sense, and then we went and toured it, and it was like, this is really cool, man. Maybe and they started talking about, and you do a little bit of research about the world of mushrooms, and it's just fascinating.
It is.
It's so fascinating, and so it just became this little shiny object that we were like, oh yeah, we'll do that for sure, man. We can do this, this, and this. And we spent a whole bunch of money trying to make it work. And, it ended up having a lot of, I don't know, just the industry is a very tough industry. If you're trying to like get scale, there's this small place in Pennsylvania called, what is it? Kennett Square. Kennett Square, Pennsylvania is like the mushroom mafia of the world. So it's literally like, I can't remember the number now, but 70 some percent of the world's mushrooms are grown in this like little small place in Pennsylvania. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. So the point of that though is like, basically if you want to get to any type of like food service mushroom scale, it all has to flow through Kennett Square because that's where all the mushrooms come from. So, us being down in North Carolina, it was like, well, we got to ship our mushrooms. And, all of this is a, commodity product that also goes bad in a few days, right? So it's like we have to grow them here perfectly, right? Which is a whole nother fun part of it. And then ship them up to Pennsylvania and then let them come down through the distribution routes that are already kind of set up for the food service world. So it was very, very fascinating and very like it was a big challenge to try to get, and for two people that have no experience in the food service world or like, it's just a learning curve in itself, right? But it was a
But do you
ton
know
of
what I
fun.
love is I've never heard either of you speak of it as a failure.
I mean, yeah, I don't think
I think Dan went as far as saying, well, that didn't work out the way we had hoped. But it was,
Yeah.
you never were like,
Yeah, I think the thing that's worth mentioning too is that like for example in the mushroom farm thing, that was something that Michael and I were doing just together, right? So we were doing that with our own time, our own money. It was something we were excited about. Yeah, and I don't look at it. Look, you try something, and sometimes it goes the way you think, and sometimes it doesn't. You don't know what you don't know until you know it, And that was kind of, I think, the case of the mushroom farm thing is that it was also part of another deal. I don't know. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, Michael, but I don't know if we would have bought the mushroom farm as just a mushroom farm. Like,
no
I don't
chance.
think we would have. We kind of got it for free in the bigger context of what we were already doing. And so it was like, okay, cool. Let's try to figure this out. Like, and we probably spent maybe more time on it than we should have.
It was
just because
it was the
interesting.
deciding to let it go. There was the like 4 or 5 month like, no, we can pull this thing off over here, and like we're just doing this one thing wrong. It's again the entrepreneurial side, and that there's something to be said of the successes in the single digit percentile, right? Like it's not very likely that a lot of these things are going to work. And so I think as entrepreneurs, we tend to be extremely overly optimistic just by nature because we're living in a world that's like, it'll beat you down too bad to, have a poor mindset towards it. So, I typically see that it's either, people get into entrepreneurship because they have to, right? Or, they have to create themselves a job or something. So there's a lot in that bucket, right? And then there's the true like visionary entrepreneur guys that are all pie in the sky, which me and Dan fall into as like textbook that.
Yeah, I think I totally agree. And I think as I've gotten older, my optimism, it hasn't gone away, but I feel like it's become more refined. Like I do have a tendency to like try to calculate more. I think and I don't know why this happened. Maybe it's just whatever, but I do feel like I do swing more towards the finance investment dollars stick in the mud. That's a good way to say it. Than I for sure was like 20 years ago, right?
Oh, I
Like for
find for
sure.
sure there's something about back to that need thing, right? Even, uh, I think this was brought up with the mushroom farm. I started my first, well, I got into business with my dad when I was 18 and then really started my first business, like, which was really just restarting my dad's old business that had failed when I was 23, 24. And at that time, I think it has something to do with just youth and ignorance, right? Like, you don't know what you don't know. So you just run through brick walls because you don't know any better. And so with the mushroom farm was one of the first times where I used to pride myself on like, I'd start this thing back over tomorrow and, straight, bootstrap, doesn't matter, get it out the mud, and the mushroom farm was the first time in my life where I was like, well, if that was true, go make that mushroom farm happen. And I like couldn't do it. Like I couldn't go into the thing and like do what I did on my first business, right? And I think to
Right.
Dan's point, like as I'm getting older now, I think there's something that has to do with our mentality around just the need, right? Like if you don't need to go do something, it's a lot
Right.
harder to get motivated than, if you need it to feed your family, you're gonna go get it. So
And
that was
energy and focus as well, right? It's not necessarily, I don't
maybe.
necessarily feel more tired than I did when I was 24, but I certainly just don't throw my energy around the way I used to. I just want to focus the energy
Yeah.
in a more streamlined capacity. I don't audition for absolutely everything anymore because I know I'm not going to enjoy these
Yes.
things. It's just, I'm not going to get enough enjoyment or enough financial gain out of a situation. So I'm not going to throw my energy in that direction
Yeah,
anymore.
Yeah.
I think as I've gotten older too, to your point about like auditioning, you probably have an idea just by looking at it, like, "Oh, that's not going to work for me."
Right.
Right. And like, that's kind of how I feel like I've become too, as time has gone by with looking at entrepreneurial or investment opportunities is you just kind of look at it and you're like, that seems like a lot of work, like right off the bat, like you can just kind of pick those things out as opposed to like, to Michael's point, as opposed to in the past when I would look at it like, yeah, it's going to be tough, but that's okay because I'm tough and I can do it. And then
Right.
it's like, I don't really want to do that. I just want to do the easier thing. So I think it's both seeing what's going to happen sooner, like you kind of have like a heads up, you get
Yes.
some vision, and then also choosing to just be more efficient with your time, energy. And maybe it's because we have less time in our lives, right? Maybe it's like, hey, we've only got this many more years. Do I want to spend it doing this bullshit or do I want to like not do that? Right. I don't know.
Perhaps. I think for me, it's conservation of energy. Not that
Yeah.
I know what kind of energy it takes to throw it all around, trying constantly. But you're right, focusing on, I can see in this situation, I'm not going to get either enjoyment or financially what I want out of it. So I'm just not even going to throw my energy at it anymore.
Yep. Yep.
As I've like really hung out with Dan and like got to know each other so well now over the 7 years, like Dan's always been a little bit more like knows what to say no to or like has that feeling on it.
Mm.
I think he has good parameters in which he views something to say like if they don't meet these select parameters, like it's not worth it. And he's really good, like what he's been good with me about is like he's never overly forced his opinion or his thought process and perspectives. He's very like, yeah, I don't know, that might work for it. Like he helps you like explore what your parameters are going to be, I guess, right? Like
Mm.
and without being like, no, you need to do this thing, which has been super cool. And I think it's why we work really well together. Obviously we have a lot of like-mindedness, but we have this pretty cool like bouncing off of each other. Like
Mhm.
I just have this perspective over here of like, I don't know, just how can we tie things together? And Dan's really good of like not only that, but he can put these like structures in place that make it work better. So it's pretty cool as we've done that so far now a few times, and now we're trying to do it with Clothine and building new verticals for investment and seeing a lot of opportunity. And now like after I've sold my business, I've been diving into this AI world just to try to like not get left behind.
Mm.
It's like for the first time in my life, I've become like the visionary that can take an idea pretty far down the path with using AI to like kind of build out my thoughts, but I continue to run down these rabbit holes. Like now what it allows me to do is take this idea that I probably would have dropped much sooner, like way too far.
Mm.
So I'm going down this rabbit hole of things that, which is cool, but to Dan's point, like the parameters are kind of building themselves when I do it. So like the further I go down that rabbit hole, the more I'm like, I don't think this is actually going to be the thing that I want it to be. So like I'll throw it off. But what's cool is that going through that process as somebody that like can't do that, like I've always had to put people around me to build out the thing that I'm visioning or dreaming about, right? Where the AI allows me to work through those thoughts in a way that like I can take pieces of that thing that I went down the rabbit hole and say, well, I could tie that to this other thing though, that is within the parameters. And it just like continues to build out that thought. And it's been pretty wild, to watch it happen. And now it's like, I wake up in the morning and there's things that are done for me in a folder. And I'm like, where's this cloud person at?
That is a very good thing about AI. I want
Oh.
AI to do things while I sleep. I want to wake up and be able to. Right.
I had
Yes.
12 documents landed in my Google Drive this morning. Granted, I tried to show Dan, and one of them was all like just code in the thing. I was like, well, I don't know what that is, but you know, I just get to talk to the agent again, and say, hey, well, you know, this didn't work out the way I thought it would, and it's like, let me fix that. It's pretty great. Pretty great.
You know, Michael, the way you're describing the way that you use AI is the way that I've been using it too. And it's interesting. If people use AI as a just do work for me so I don't have to think, it's going to turn out a lot of crap. Like it's not going to be good. But when you use it as like a thinking tool, like you're using it as part of that's how I've been doing it, like with my philosophy stuff and everything. Like that's how I use it is
It's interesting. What are you seeing from the AI with philosophy?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, the AI stuff is great. So you could just talk. I mean, it knows a lot of philosophy stuff, right? From just having it out in the ether, right? So you can talk philosophy stuff with it very specifically, and it just off the top of its head knows stuff. The way I've been using it is, if, like, for example, on my master's dissertation that I'm working on right now, like there's tons and tons of specific texts and documents that I read, right? So like very specific things. I then take those same documents, feed it into the AI and say, only use these documents for our conversation. Like don't pull from anywhere else, just these things. So that way, then when it and I communicate back and forth, we're only talking about this stuff that it read and I read. So then it's almost like having a study buddy, basically, right? So like I'm thinking this, what do you think about that? Blah, 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 blah. So you really get kind of a lot of back and forth and kind of a verification of like this is what I understood. What did you understand? Kind of stuff. So it gives you a chance to kind of refine your own internal thoughts.
Yeah.
And then convert that into like, okay, cool. This is where we're going now. Yeah. So like it's like having a study buddy, I guess is a good way to say it. And you can, and as opposed to me just having to think about it by myself and then try to then convert those thoughts into something without talking to anybody, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Basically the same thing, right? Like,
It is.
yeah,
Right.
I have this idea. How can I take it to its furthest conclusion of where it makes sense to either proceed or shut it down?
Right. Well, the great thing about on the business and investment side of things too is its ability to create like business analyst type or investment analyst type output spreadsheets and stuff, like that document
Within
you and I were
minutes.
looking at.
Within
Right.
minutes.
Yeah. Right. And it's good. And it gives you kind of the analysis and you can look through it and think through it. And the numbers are pretty good. Like they're,
Yeah.
you know, and that's the amazing thing too, is how fast that moved. Because I remember when ChatGPT came out, like whenever that was, a year and a half ago, whatever, like there was a point where it couldn't even do math. Like you'd ask it to do basic math and it couldn't do it. It would just come up with random
It's
stuff. And that was
fascinating. Like the majority of people I talk to are still stuck in that realm or that like thought, right? That I got on ChatGPT and it couldn't give me, you know, basic math. Like AI can't do what you think it can do. You know, it's like if you aren't messing with this thing like every day, you can't see its like just progression so cool. Like that's it scares me the most is just the speed at which it's moving. Like I feel that I can't keep up and I'm using it every day. And, I'm not a tech guy in general. Like I was, I tell everybody I'm just the dumb redneck from Fuquay Varina, North Carolina, like, so watching the speed though is what's like so concerning. Like I don't, Fable 5 just came back out for Claude yesterday, and this thing can like, it can blow your mind on the things it's doing on its own without having to tell it anything, it's freaky.
Yeah.
But so using it in the context of what you're talking about, we're trying to build some new verticals in the fund, and we found an opportunity on this like land business that is essentially buying wholesale land, larger chunks of land, and then developing it into either smaller lots or subdividing and building out lots, and then selling that, owner financing that to people in like kind of rural the south of North Carolina, Georgia, I think Tennessee, South Carolina.
Yeah.
So kind of like southeast. And he wants to either partner or sell it. And we found the opportunity and had a couple conversations with this guy, and it appears that this is a vertical we can throw into Clotine in a way that kind of meets the parameters in which we're trying to build towards, which is cash flowing investments back to our investors that meet or beat the S&P. We're defining those parameters better and better, and we're already messing with land development and a lot of real estate stuff in general. So this like meets a lot of those, and like what I was saying before, I'm like, oh, we can tie that into some of these other things that we're doing, which will just vertically integrate a lot of the other vehicles in a way that makes everything a little more profitable to the investors and to us as operators. So we've been using the analyst AI to like look at that deal, and me and Dan were talking about it right before this and a little bit last week of structurally how to put this deal together. So like, he's asking whatever amount of money for the business, and we're looking at that based on the present value of the land of what it is at today. And he has something like $10 million in notes payable or notes receivable rather back to him. And so we're looking at that saying, okay, how do we structurally put this deal together so that we can get investment dollars in and deployed in a way that makes everybody some money? And what we're learning is like this spread between obviously what we're giving the investors and what can kind of come to us as operators is really this very fine line that is fun to strategically build.
Yeah. It's creating that spread is one of the major variables, and also just general scalability of what the opportunity is. Like if this works and we do it once, we want to keep doing it more. We want to be able to scale, so that's a big part of it too. Cause sometimes this happens a lot where I have in the past and in the current times, you find something that's a good deal that works, but it's finite. And then so that everybody jumps in, all the investors are like, oh yeah, I want that. Cool. And then now you're done. You can't do any more. So trying to find the right deal that allows you to kind of meet your risk management profile, meet your returns profile, and is scalable, like that's kind of what you're always looking for.
So when you like, just curious, Dan, is like you're thinking about this deal with me and the land stuff. When you talk about scale, what do you think, taking something that has like a $10 million, present value, how do you view scale? How would we scale that?
Well, great question. So like if that was just the one portfolio for, $10 million, once you put the 10 million in, if you can't go somewhere to buy another 10 million, then it's not scalable, right? Or that you can't buy more pieces to kind of add to it on an ongoing basis, not scalable. So like in this particular case, this guy has been around for a long time doing this as like a regular routine. He didn't do it just once and that's it. So in my mind, there is scalability there because it kind of functions like an operating business in that they're producing something all the time to grow that portfolio. To give the counter example of something that wasn't scalable, which I wish that it was because it's a fantastic business, was our original Cloteen, Virginia group home houses. So I bought those houses 5 years ago now. There were 11 of them from some buddies that kind of assembled them into this portfolio. And they're group homes that are triple net rented from a multi-billion dollar company. So our tenant is a giant multi-billion dollar company. They pay every month. They handle all the maintenance for the most part. There's a few things we have to contribute to, but mostly nothing. And it's basically where we bought them at was like around a 12 cap. So boy, if I could buy 1,000 of those, I mean, that would be fantastic. But whenever we've tried to buy more, nobody wants to sell them because they all know it's a great deal, right? Like everybody's just holding on to it. So the leaser, the company that pays the rent to us, they only need so many. They have thousands. I think they have like 4,000 or 5,000, but they only need so many. So that you can't even get them. You can't even get the new ones for the most part. So that's kind of the trick, I think, with all this is finding the right level of like scale opportunity as well. And again, or it just ends up being, which is fine too. Hey, cool, we got a $10 million deal over here and it's good and it's solid and it's running and it goes off into the future as a $10 million thing. And then we got another $10 million thing over here. And like that works too. So I think we're probably going to see a combination of both. We'll probably see the things that are truly, hey, you just crank more money in and then you go. And then other stuff that was like a finite, discrete, hey, the one thing, because that's kind of, we've already done that. We've already got a couple deals that have been like that.
Yeah.
Dan, I'm very curious about something I've observed about you is a mindset that you seem to have about, I'm going to put a lot of focus and energy into this deal. I'm going to do the best I can. And if it doesn't work out, something else is going to come up. I'm not saying that this is not a stressful thing for you. I am certain it is, but you do have a really great mindset about it. I'm curious, is that inherent? Have you learned that? Because as an artist, I will say I operate frequently from a place of lack. Like if this thing doesn't come through, nothing else is happening. And I know I need to maneuver through that somehow. It's not helpful for me. How do you get through a deal like that where you're like, this isn't going the way I thought, I'm willing to let it go?
Yeah. I think that's experience for the most part. Like, cause I've had things that have worked and I've had things that haven't worked. And I've also witnessed everyone around me people that I think are very successful and everyone would judge them as successful. Those successful people have also had things that have worked and didn't work and gone the way they want and didn't go the way they want.
But you don't fall apart. You don't get angry and fall apart. You have a really Zen sort of attitude towards it.
Yeah, I think that's out of necessity because I think if I went crazy every time something didn't quite go right, I think I would be totally crazy.
Something I've witnessed from Dan personally is that the things that don't go right aren't because of a ill will or like lack of character, right? Like we are truly trying to build something here, and like again, the percentages prove that like a lot of this stuff isn't going to work the way we believe it is, right? Like now we are doing everything in our power, and I've watched Dan do this. Like he's doing everything he can to make this thing successful. So therefore, if it does not work out the way we plan, it's not that like he was intentionally doing something bad or wrong, or it's truly just like either outside factors or just the nature of the business, right? Like sometimes the things just you assume or you make plans to build towards scalability of the mushroom farm. Well, and as you move forward, you realize like, oh, well, in order for us to do that, like we have to produce mushrooms at this amount of money now because now we have to factor in all this distribution cost, and so it's like, well, we didn't realize at the time that, or we were told information or whatever it was that wasn't going to be the case, or that we could produce them for a number. And, like as we moved forward, those things just either one of those things didn't quite work the way it appeared it would, or we invested dollars in to make that happen. And, that adds costs and all this thing. So like, I think we move through in an entrepreneurial way of like, okay, we're building towards this goal. What does that look like? How does that work? And as we build towards it, we, get the information that is necessary and we do with it what we traditionally has been successful for us, and sometimes that doesn't work out, right?
Yeah.
And so it's not like what I've seen is it's not worth beating ourselves up over. Dan has not beat himself up over. And then lastly, if we are still building things and doing the work, there will be something that either A, we can pull, like, hey, this isn't working out over here, but this is. So like let's pull our resources into this spot, and like all is going to be well. Like we are going to continue moving forward. And I'd say to this point, like no investor has gone unpaid. No, like we have made whole what needs to be made whole, and it works out. I mean, the mushroom farm is an example. Like the way we built that allowed us to kind of lick our chops, move that money from this spot over here that we invested, and we just put it into the other thing, and it all rolled in a way that like nobody felt any different. And as an operator of me and Dan, like we took the brunt of the hurt of it, and it is what it is. We're moving forward. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So I think that we build in a way that allows us to understand that some things aren't going to work out, and we just got to keep plugging along
Yeah.
until the thing does work.
And at the end of the day, there was a Harvard study that talked about why certain businesses succeed, and they talked about, like, was it the team, was it the market, was it the fact that you have enough investment, and they had like 5 or 6 different criteria like that. And it turned out, by doing all these studies across all these businesses, it was really the market that determined and the timing of the market that determined like success or failure. Like to the point about like, say, like, and I always use the example of like the oil business, right? So people invest hundreds of millions of dollars into oil wells, and there's a price of oil where it makes sense to run the oil well, and there's a price point where it doesn't make sense. Even if you've got all the millions invested, there's a point where you just have to stop drilling
Pumping.
for oil or pumping because it doesn't make sense. The market is just not there to support the cost of getting the oil out of the ground. I kind of look at like every business is kind of like that, right? Like at the end of the day, you can do all the work and do all the things, but if the market isn't there at that particular moment, even if you did everything right, it just is what it is, right? So I think a lot of to Michael's point, if we do everything we can do to make something right operationally, and it still isn't working because of some market forces, well, I mean, that's beyond our control. We have to then, as you said, figure out like, okay, what are we going to do from here? But I can't take personal, I can't overly drain myself of energy worrying about something that's completely out of my control. Let's put my focus back on the things that are in control.
Which is interesting. Like we are seeing that actively, like I would say in the traditional private equity world right now, right? Like they've been on a bull run for what, 12, 13 years right now, maybe a little bit more, 15 years. Like, and they were buying all these companies, and the market was absolutely just crushing, right? So all these service businesses, especially in the service world, like all these private equity companies were coming in and just rolling up all these service businesses. And basically you could buy anything and they were going to be successful despite you. Like despite how poorly or how great you run it, they were just absolutely crushing, right? And I'd say over the past 2 years, what we're seeing now is like those guys that were doing so well for so long just took that for granted, that the market was so great. And now they're having to like, crap, people aren't buying that service the way they were for the past 10 years. And they're just getting absolutely squeezed. And they, some of the things I've heard, like we're going to do what we know is best for the business. Well, that might've been the best for the business in the past decade, but what you need now is completely different. And what I see in the traditional private equity world is like, they're not operators. They are bean counters, or they are money guys that know where to place money or have known where to place money. But when it comes down to go solve a problem, they have no clue how to do it. Right. So they're getting punched in the nuts right now. And we're seeing it all over the place. And that's what's cool, I'd say, about Clotein, like how we're building Clotein is the entrepreneurial side of it, this alternative world where like we can money around the markets and we don't have to be stuck to this traditional sense of the way in which we would see Wall Street guys look at certain investments. We can look at them and say, well, time out. Like let's pull the structure from what we have seen work in down markets. Hey, let's deploy our money and build structures around that. and that way, you know, we're de-risking investments in a way that can make and opening it up to normal folks, right? So like, you know, what we typically see is like in a traditional private equity, well, you got to write $1 million check and you got to sit that check in this fund for 7 years and never see a dime of it and hope like hell that we deploy it in a way that makes sense and works well. And maybe we do, maybe we don't, right? Where the Cloteens building is, you know, in a lot of cases a $25,000 check, which is at least to the average, you know, accredited investor is a pretty reasonable number to be able to throw and test something out and check it out. And, you know, and not only that, you're going to get a monthly cash flow in most of the investments that we look at and get to actually touch your investment, you know, your interest payment every month, which is very, very rare
Mm.
in what we see outside of Clotein.
Yep. Yep. Cool. So Joey, quick question before we sign off.
Certainly.
As a creative or artist, somebody who's been in that industry your whole time, how often do you think that artists look at their time and their creative output as an investment themselves?
I would say rarely. Certainly as I was younger, I would say very rarely. And that's why earlier when we were talking about focus, I think certainly myself, most of my friends are about my age, most of my artist friends are about my age. I think we've all gotten to a point where we're like, my time is worth more than what this project is expecting of me.
But the creative side of the brain and the
They start
investment
to-
side of the brain are different, right? So like
Yes.
you honestly probably can't look at it that way in your creative flow, right?
Say more about that. What do you mean?
Like, can you look at a project that you're doing creatively and look at it as this time on investment? Because in order to give the creative output that you need, you can't be thinking about the time or the return on it, right?
Yes, understood. It's always project dependent, right? There's some things where I'm like, I'm not going to get paid a lot on this, but I think it's a really good project, and it's in New York City, might get me seen for something else. You know, there are other factors other than just
Opportunity
monetary.
cost,
Yeah,
Dan.
exactly.
How do you factor that into
Yeah.
return on investment for time?
Yeah, that is a lot of it. A lot of New York, unless you're doing Broadway, a lot of New York theater pays very, very little. Out of town work pays better, but most people will choose the New York job
To hopefully get seen by
because they're
Broadway.
probably going to get seen by producers, casting directors, people that will put them in television, films, perhaps Broadway. Yeah,
Interesting.
that's a good point.
Yeah, it's a different return on investment then too, right? So like we're
Right.
talking always in terms of dollars. You might be talking in terms of just being in the right rooms.
Correct.
Like, you know, yeah.
Which is more
Okay,
of
well,
the
that's
operator mindset, right? Like
Yes.
for Clotein, right? Like we're trying to put ourselves in rooms where we're seen by investors or people that find money. Like that's a different return on investment. We might go into that room and not get any, right? But you might get seen by that one guy. It's like, hey, I saw you in that room, right? Like,
Right.
Exactly.
And in 2 years, he'll be like, you know what?
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
That's right. Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you, Michael. Thanks for coming
Absolutely.
to talk
Yeah,
with us again. Yeah.
anytime.
It's
Happy to
always
do
such
it
a
more.
pleasure, gentlemen.
Back at you.
All right, I'll talk to you later, buddy. There you go. Michael Bauman, the man, the myth, the legend, as
You
they
know the
say.
best people, Dan. You know such great people. I know.
Got that cool beard.
Great
Yeah.
beard.
Now I'm inspired too, so maybe I'll just keep
You
this
think you
going.
could do that?
I think AI Dan can. Love AI Dan do it.
I'm
We'll do a
looking forward to
300. We'll
that.
do a 300 AI
Yes.
Dan.
Yes. I'm looking forward to
Oh,
that.
man. Awesome. Well, good to see you.
Nice to see you, friend.
All right, I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Bye.